Peace. MC Sean Love. And yeah, man, I'd like to take this time, I want to address, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I watched the video and then I saw some of the responses, and I want to address the Lord Jamar comments about, Macklemore, I guess is his name. You know, I really don't keep up with all this pop shit, you know what I mean? I guess Jamar does, you know, he's got his ear to the industry real close. And lately I've noticed on Vlad TV that Lord Jamar has been popping up a lot, like offering his views, especially towards like the weighty topics like homosexuality and hip hop. So anyway, I'm a white rapper. I've got 13 albums. I got a real big catalog. So if you look me up on Bandcamp, you'll see that I've got joints from '89 all the way to the present. Many of them have been published on wax, vinyl, CDs. I got a book published back like 12 years ago on the history of hip hop, and I grew up in the Trenton area of New Jersey. So hopefully some of that qualifies me. Does it, Jamar? I know I'm white. Does that qualify me to speak a little bit about white rappers? You know, we'll let you in our house and you can kick your shit, but don't offer any of your opinions. And it's actually ironic because in recent years, all Lord Jamar has been doing, at least publicly, is offering opinions and not really kicking his shit. But I believe what Lord Jamar said is, white rappers, you are basically a guest, or you are a guest in our house, which is meaning hip hop, which is black music, which it is. I understand the origins of hip hop music and culture, and even though I was born in '77, probably a few years after Jamar, I've been around long enough to have picked up the Masters of Ceremonies tape before Jamar was even in Brand Nubian, before Brand Nubian was even a public entity. And we're talking about an industry, and the major correction that I think I need to make here is that I think you're confusing race with generation, right? Because by your logic, if white people, or white rappers anyway, could be involved in hip-hop and we can kick our shit, but we can't offer an opinion, then essentially you're saying that some 19-year-old black dude from Missouri or from Australia or from the UK could conceivably have a more valuable opinion than me, a 37-year-old hip-hop artist who's got a tremendous catalog that's from the Trenton area in New Jersey and that's worked with a lot of the greats, right? Including Sadat X that I might mention. So, that logic really doesn't stand up or hold up to reason, you could just totally say, all right, well, fuck this guy because he's not as famous as me, which I'm not. If you were to say I can't speak about this because I'm not on that same level as he is, then what the fuck is he talking about Kanye West for, right? Okay, so we're all in this dialogue together. And I say that you can't tell me that MC Brains has more of a right to voice his opinion than one of the Beastie Boys or than Rick Rubin or as Eminem or any of the countless white artists that has some. You can't tell me that a shitty black producer of hip hop music in 2013 has as much or more of a right to voice their opinion or put their art out there in a way that they see fit than the great Tony D, who I've also worked with. So by making a statement like that, it's almost saying that these people never existed and any opinions that they had are invalid, which is something that I think you should know better than saying, right? And hip-hop is also an American art form, and you can't take the white blood out of hip-hop, all right? Because if you take the white blood out of hip-hop, if you take Tony D out of hip-hop, right? If you say that his shit doesn't matter, without Tony D, there would be no Rock This Funky Joint. Without Rock This Funky Joint, there would be no what? Poor Righteous Teachers. All right, so you can't take the white blood out of hip-hop, Jamar. As convenient as it might seem, you can't do it. It's there, and it's been there. A white rapper didn't go into Lil Wayne's chateau and point a gun at his codeine-infused head and force him to say that he beats up pussy like Emmett Till, right? That wasn't a white rapper's fault, okay? A white rapper didn't bust down Rick Ross's door and tell him to write some song that alluded to rape, okay? That's not a white rapper's fault. The problems that we have in hip-hop are not necessarily the fault of white rappers. If you want to blame it on white people, be my guest. Maybe blame it on white executives. Maybe blame it on the record executives that help steer the industry into gangsterdom and negativity and black-on-black crime starting in the late 80s and the early 90s and away from conscious conscious music. You can blame it on them if you want, because it's more likely that the fact that hip-hop's had tremendous amount more white listeners growing over the last 15, 20 years, that the direction and the creativity of hip-hop has changed as a result. And that's been to the detriment of the conscious music that I grew up on, that I loved, and that taught me to love hip-hop so much. Lord Jamar, I'm just one of the individuals that's put in their life's work into hip-hop music and culture. Just one, right? Because there's plenty of others that you can find. By shutting out an entire race of people's opinions because you don't like the fact that a white boy got on stage with some gay shit is not the move. Hip-hop is not the thing to exclude people from, all right? If I'm in the parliament, if I'm in Harlem and I'm in the parliament, there, you know, a couple of years ago when I went to see Jamar speak, I shut the fuck up. Because in the parliament, in Harlem, that's not a place where my opinion should be valued, and I understand that, all right? That wasn't intended for me. And so when I came as a guest. When it comes to hip-hop music, when I'm tearing the plastic off of Run DMC's first album, when I'm tearing the plastic off the Fat Boys Are Back, or when I'm tearing the plastic off of Brand Nubian One For All, or In God We Trust, or In Everything Is Everything, you can't exclude me just based upon my race. I'm sorry. You can't take Tony D out of the picture just because of his race. You can't take Mike D, Ad Rock. You can't take Adam Yacht out of the picture just because of their race. You can't take Rick Rubin out of the big picture of hip-hop just because of his race, because they can't be replaced. Brother Lord Jamar really needs to think about what he said and the kind of impact he's trying to have, and whether or not that's going to be translucent to some of us that do have some knowledge. I will tell you that I'm not a huge fan of gay hip-hop. Like, I'm not going to be in my whip knocking the new gay shit, alright? That's me, right? But do I feel like I have the right or the power to say who can and can't say what? I mean, I hate that fucking record, alright? It sounded divisive. It was one of the first times that artist ever came into my mind, or the first time I'd ever really heard of that artist, and it was probably because it was a divisive record, a record that was put out intentionally because the subject matter was going to catch fire. The thing that really breaks my heart the most is that, you know, you're making people look bad. You're making us look bad. Because if you're the ambassador of black hip-hop, of the hip-hop pioneers, which you're not, by the way. I mean, no, you definitely contributed and added on. You're definitely a part of the golden era, or the late golden era hip-hop, but I'm old enough to know the hip-hop timeline and know what artists were out. There was nearly a decade of artists out, my brother, before you came out, you know? I know because I was buying their records. I know because I was buying their records before you came out. By making those kind of inflammatory statements, it kind of makes you look like you got a couple of chips on your shoulder that don't got anything to do with hip-hop. And if you're worried about people fucking up hip-hop or artists fucking up hip-hop, you better look across the whole entire rainbow spectrum, because it's not just white rap. Anything needs to be weighed, judged, and examined. And if you don't look at something on an individual basis, then you're actually not really approaching something from a level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. If you just make these umbrella statements, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're getting rid of the what? Good, bad, and the ugly. Alright, and that includes the good. And, you know, and Lord Jamar obviously feels empowered enough that he's an ambassador of hip-hop culture for him to make those type of statements. And I'm just saying he's not right and exact. Peace.